on the Miami Heat in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Game 1 was not a hot start for the Heat, who rallied to come back from a 14-point deficit in the fourth quarter and closed out the game after a couple of big plays. One of them was that guy. Meanwhile, the Celtics could not close out the game. Their offensive production was down significantly in the fourth quarter and in overtime, so we will see if they can turn it around tonight. Welcome into Hoop Streams. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and the ESPN app. I'm Christine Williamson, and I'm in Bristol, Connecticut, but I'm joined by my lovely friends, Cassidy Hubbarth in New York City and Kendrick Perkins down in H-Town. What's going on, guys?
What's happening? Christine, Cass, what's going on? What's going on?
What's good, Perk? What is good?
We're here. That's what's important. Perk, I wanted to talk about this. You have a different gold chair than you did last time, and it just looks like you're in a gold room. So is that the theme of the room that you're in right now?
It is. It's actually my bedroom. I just actually switched the camera view. I mix it up here. And
wow.
When I streams, my wife actually let me do things out of the be in. I'm actually allowed to be in right now because of Hoop Streams.
You love to see it. You love to see it. Cassidy, I love your
I
shirt.
do. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I actually, I said I only got that sweatshirt. The NBA handed out, the Black Lives warm-up shirts that you see the players warming up in. So I am thankful to have, left the bubble with this shirt as well, which, I've been wearing all around New York City because this message is always important.
That is super dope. I love it. I want one of those, but I guess I'll probably just have to get not one from the NBA. I'll just have to find someone somewhere else.
I'll make some phone calls,
okay,
Christine.
Yeah.
I'll try to make some phone calls.
Hook me up. You know I'll rock it. So much to get into from the past couple of days since we last talked. The dust has finally settled from what we saw in the West after Game 7 between the Nuggets and the Clippers. So let's get into it. Let's start by giving flowers to the Nuggets.
All right, we got to play free. We got to play hard. We got to play smart. We got to play together.
Well, we got down. How many teams were here? 22. How many are left, fellas? And at midnight tonight, it's going to be 4.
Denver playing with such confidence right now. Jokic, he's got himself a triple-double here in Game 7.
I am absolutely shocked. Give this Denver Nuggets team a lot of credit. They have taken the fight away from the Clippers.
They are the comeback kids from Colorado.
That hurts. It hurts, but we move on.
Now we'll give the flowers to the Nuggets. My favorite Nugget. According to ESPN's Basketball Power Index, Denver had only a 3.1% chance to win the series, the lowest it ever got. At the 8:27 mark of the third quarter in Game 6, that's when they were down 17. But they flipped that script. The first team in NBA history to overcome two 3-1 deficits in a single playoff run, which explains all the joy in the locker room celebration after. But what it can't explain is my joy in seeing this picture. I mean, what is he even picking him off the ground? It makes him look like he's so tiny.
Compared to Jokic, he is.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I mean, Jokic looks like he's maybe like a half inch off the ground. So that looks to be their height difference. I don't know. I feel like that's how Perk looks around other people too.
If he would have picked up if we would have picked up a Perk, you were picked up Perk. Yeah, that sums it up.
Exactly.
I mean, Mike Malone. That also sums up Mike Malone. I mean, he has the same amount of excitement and energy as his team, and I think this team is feeding off of it, as you can see. They're the bad news bears in his words.
Yeah, you love to see it. Jamal Murray, after the game, said that he doesn't feel like the media, he called out a lot of people, including Stephen A. Smith, and said that the media isn't giving them the respect that they deserve. Perk, do you feel like the Nuggets have been getting the cold shoulder a little bit?
Well, the thing is, you have to earn respect. You have to earn it. And we haven't had a reason to give Denver respect. Think about it. They didn't make it to the Western Conference Finals. Portland beat them last year. They was battling to get in the playoffs the year before, battling against, I believe it was whoever it was for the 8th seed. I think it was the Clippers at the time. And so they have to earn respect, young fella. And you did just that in the bubble. You earned not only respect, but you're living up to that $170 million contract. Because right now, I think you're worth about $250 the way that you're balling right now. Looking like a baby Gilbert Arenas. I mean, you just hibachi style the Clippers the other night. Hibachi style. Put them on the table and got some of that hibachi chicken and hibachi steak. You doing your thing. You earn respect. That's how you do it, young fella. I like what you're doing, Jamal Murray.
And Perk, though, you're saying you got to earn respect from the media. But look, they were down 3-1 in the last 2 series. So it's understandable if some people didn't give them a chance to come back from the 3-1 deficit. I actually thought that they were going to win Game 7. I was still in the bubble leading in after that Game 6. From watching the 2 benches, from seeing how, like I said last show, how loose and confident the Nuggets were compared to how tight and tense the Clippers were. I was actually speaking to the Nuggets PR guy, Nick O'Hare. He's great, saying, and he was like, I think we can do it. And I was like, I have faith that you guys can do it too. And he goes, and then we're going to take care of the Lakers. And I'm like, let's slow our roll there. I mean, look, I think they will battle the Lakers. And it's just, look, Doc didn't adjust to Mike Malone's adjustments. But what we've seen from Frank Vogel is that, the Lakers have dropped both game 1s, and then they made quick adjustments and then made quick work of their opponents. So don't expect the Lakers to not make the proper adjustments. And then, you got the ultimate respect from LeBron James. Today he said it. He says, we see how much heart they have. We see how much fight they have. So LeBron James and the Lakers are not going to come into this series underestimating this team. So be prepared to get that respect that you guys so want from LeBron James and the Lakers.
Well, you mentioned it, Cass. The Clippers were tight. On the opposite side of an epic comeback is an epic collapse. The Clippers were looking to ride their horses down the stretch, but those horses were nowhere to be found. Kawhi and PG missed every single shot they took in the 4th quarter. Perk, you definitely noticed. We saw you on Twitter laying in to the Clippers and Paul George and Kawhi Leonard Perkins. I mean, what happened? I mean, first of all, you're putting yourself down in that tweet, but what happened to Kawhi Leonard Jordan?
I mean, look, see, first of all, Christine, people take that out of context. When I say Kawhi Leonard Jordan, I don't mean that he's actually MJ. All I meant was that his game, his style of play mimics Michael Jordan. Let's get that clear. And I don't know what happened to Kawhi. That was the worst performance I had ever seen him play in the playoffs. I mean, mentally, he was just not there. I don't know if it was fatigue that kicked in because of how much of the carry in Series 1 against Dallas. And in this series, he had to do a lot. If you think about Game 5 in this series, Kawhi balled out. I think he finished with 36 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and was guarding Jamal Murray most of the game. So Kawhi had to do most of the workload, and we know with the bubble, for us how different it is in the bubble, only having a day in between, we don't really know if that quad or that leg was at full strength or was Kawhi tired, because I never seen him or saw him perform the way he performed in that Game 7, and it was just horrible.
Yeah, I mean, we've known him to load manage, so maybe the fact that he was playing so much, he was just tired. I don't know what happened.
It's Game 7. It's Game 7, Christine. I look. I think that we always kind of bash Kawhi for not being an exciting interview or saying much, but I actually think that he's a great interview in the sense that he always says what he feels, even if it's not with enthusiasm. And he had a very revealing quote after the game where he was just like, look, we shot ourselves in the foot. Last 3 games pretty much were a mirror. Us coming in, not being able to score the ball in the 3rd and 4th. He basically said, he was saying all the things about the chemistry, but he said, that this is not a smart team right now, that they didn't learn their lessons and they didn't get smarter. And whether that's on chemistry or whether that's on just the personnel not committing to winning and committing to each other, that's something that they're really going to have to look at heading into next season.
Yeah, speaking of
Kawhi, you had Cassidy, Christine, Kawhi, you had all that in old Canada. You had that in Toronto.
Oh, no.
The country was behind you. You had Kyle Lowry, you had Fred VanVleet, you had Marcus
But that's it.
You had Serge Ibaka, all this championship experience, all this experience.
And
all
leadership.
That high basketball IQ. And you had leadership, culture. You had everything. They was ready to give you the world. And you want to come over with Patrick Beverly and Lou Will, a guy who was worried about lemon pepper wings at Magic City. God bless him.
He wanted to go to LA.
Exactly. He wanted to go out to LA, maybe come back to America, come stateside. He just wanted to be back in the USA. So Cassidy mentioned chemistry in the Clippers locker room on the team. Things certainly looked completely off for the Clippers in the 2nd quarter. After a couple of Paul George turnovers, Montrezl Harrell approached PG about it. Playoff P was not having it. Yahoo Sports reporting that Harrell responded with something like, "You're always right. Nobody can tell you nothing." And there was swearing involved, and Harrell did not hold back post-game.
We're not a great team. That's, I think, one thing that y'all need to get out y'all minds. We're not a great team. We just became together this year. We have 2 players that never been a part of this team last year. We had a player that won an NBA championship with a whole nother team last year. So we're not a great team. That's number 1 right there. I think that's what we need to realize and wake up. We're a team that still has to figure out things that we need to do to win night in and night out.
All right. A very strange thing, in my opinion, to say after a game. But, Cass, if he's saying they're not a great team.
No, it's true.
If he's saying they're not a great team, should we expect major changes then?
Look, PG and Kawhi, they have a player options in 21-22, so they're going to have to give it another go around. Montrezl Harrell, he's a free agent, 6th man of the year. He's probably going to get some massive raise wherever he goes. Marcus Morris, who the Clips basically gave up a 1st rounder for. He's going to be one of those guys that, he picked up this reputation in the bubble for being dirty, but he's one of those guys that you want on your team so you don't play against. JaMychal Green, he could decline his player option, but and he's been a solid presence in that locker room. Look, I think they need to run it back. You got Steve Ballmer. I'm not in the man's pockets. I wish I was. But you would think that he can go into the luxury tax. I'm just saying. But if they're stressing chemistry is what they need, then they should run it back. Even though I will say, the Heat, this is the first time that they're all together. The Lakers, Anthony Davis and LeBron James, is the first time they're all together. It's really the Nuggets who are the only team still left that have been together. And we're looking at them as the most inexperienced playoff team left here in the bubble.
Yeah, it seems like their tone has completely shifted, right? Because remember what happened back in August when Pat Bev was doing the Cancun on 3 and Paul George was adding fuel to the fire? Dame Lillard, of course, fired back saying, "Keep switching teams, you boys is chubs." And then Dame Dollar never forgets. He says, "I guess I should extend this Cancun invite since I haven't made any arrangements yet." Then, of course, teammate CJ McCollum chimed in, "I'll bring the wine. Weather is nice as ever, too." And CJ wasn't finished with the wine or with Twitter. He said, "My last tweet before I finish this glass, they did vote. They ain't want to play no more. I don't know why I added that part, but I didn't think they was going to go out like that. Ouch." Just a lot of trash talk. I mean, I just feel like the tone of the Clippers has completely changed from what we saw at the beginning to now. So, Perk, how do you feel about all this pettiness?
They deserve it. They deserve every bit of it. The Clippers was not humble. Just think about before the season, they had this big pep rally you know, all these guys, Pat Bev talking about it's over. You know, everyone was crowning them, talking about they got the dogs, the deepest roster. They got one of the best perimeter defensives in league history. I didn't see it. And then they talk noise all throughout the bubble. Marcus Morris, dirty fouls here and there. Patrick Beverly, post-game interviews talking about how, you know, disrespecting Jokic and talking about, oh, he just be flailing and flopping and all that. He's the reason he woke up Jokic. That's why Jokic dominated them. And then on top of that, Montrez, you was doing all that barking at the virtual fans and those poor innocent kids and wives that was sitting on the sideline after you scored buckets. I have zero sympathy for the Los Angeles Clippers, and no one should have sympathy for them because they put themselves in this situation. They were doing all the talking, all except for the one guy that had the right to do all the talking, Kawhi Leonard. He didn't say a word. He let his game do the talking. You hit Lou Will. Look, the Clippers went back and forth with social media and analysts more than they competed on the court. That's the problem. So I don't feel sorry for them at all. I really don't. Go have another pep rally to start next season. I don't care.
Sit tight, guys. We'll be back with you in a moment. Before that, Nuggets taking on the Lakers. And Lakers Twitter has been blowing up, and that is because of Halsey. She started tweeting only about basketball with the handle @Halsey&1. That was September 8th. Lakers undefeated since then, and she even showed up as a virtual fan. To talk about this, we'll welcome in Omar Raja, who's down in the bubble. Omizi, are you buying the fact that Halsey could possibly be a part of the Lakers' success?
Yes, because she's putting so much pressure on them, because she's roasting like Russell Westbrook and the Clippers and everyone around them. And my man Alex Caruso is definitely seeing those tweets because she loves Alex Caruso. And he's putting pressure on himself to be great, and then that's why he's doing amazing things like blocking James Harden in Game 5. So yes, she is their good luck charm.
You love to see it. Well, hopefully, I mean, I don't know, hopefully for the Lakers, then that just means that they'll be winning the rest of the way. They'll have absolutely no issue with anybody. But let's bring it back to tonight because we got the Heat versus the Celtics, and I know that's your team. So
our team.
For that, oh yeah, our team. Thank you for putting that in there. I forgot a little bit. But for that, let's do a little Heat check. First of all, that's the first time I've seen that intro, and that is fire. Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, that was great.
Straight fire.
That was great.
Okay, so Miami basketball hits completely different. It hits a little like Bam Adebayo if you're Jayson Tatum. So how would you personally describe Miami Heat culture? You were at that game. How would you describe the vibe?
I think for the most part, they invest in workers. They invest in people that are obsessed about basketball, obsessed about working hard. And if you're not about that life, they don't really want you on their team. And I think it's one of those things that, hey, if you kind of like enjoying partying and enjoy the Miami nightlife, the Miami Heat might not be for you. You might want to play for another team. But that's why the Heat have had success, especially late in the first round, because they just believe in hard workers. If you're a person that loves being in the gym, they believe that they can draft you and then mold you to the player that they think you can be. So that's why you see guys like Bam drafted late in the first round, Tyler Hero drafted late in the first round, and those guys are contributing so young in big playoff games, like you saw Tyler at the end of the fourth quarter of Game 1, and then Bam with the huge block on Jayson Tatum.
Yeah, those guys have certainly embraced Heat culture. And you mentioned Tyler Hero. He's personally my hero. I've been saying it since the very beginning. I think we started the show in January, and I've been telling you he's my hero since then, mostly because of his fits.
Yes.
Okay, so I personally feel like he got, I think, Rookie of the Year for league fits because he's one of the best dressed guys in the league. How do you feel about what this kid rocks?
You know what my favorite piece is actually? Didn't he buy like a $50,000 chain?
Oh,
that was
yes,
like a big
he did do
T
that.
or something like that.
Yes,
that for me was like my And I love this white coat right here as well. But yes, it's actually really funny too, because you look at him now, you're like, this guy is cool as hell. But when you look at old pictures of him when he's like 14 years old or 12 years old, he kind of looks nerdy. He looks like a different person. So it's been the most amazing glow up. Like I was very nerdy, so I can relate to it.
Have you blown
but
up
I don't
as
have
much?
the ultimate.
Have you blown up that much?
Not as much as Tyler Hero. Not as much as Tyler Hero.
I don't know.
I mean, look, this weird color coordination going on right now.
I would give yourself a little bit more credit because you are trying to match your mask with your shirt. I see you. I see you. Okay.
Thank you so much.
No
I'm trying to be like Tyler Hero when I grow up.
Exactly. Got to get the chain. Okay, so do you think, obviously game 1 was great for Miami. They pulled that one off. Do you think they'll be able to carry that same energy into the game tonight?
Yeah, because I thought the Heat actually stole one in game 1. They didn't play that great in the first quarter. It felt like every time the Celtics took a 10-point lead, the Heat would try to bring it all the way back to 0, but they would get to 2 and get stuck, and the Celtics would bring it back to 10, 12 points a game. So, you know, I thought the Heat really stole that game because it wasn't even their best basketball. Not everyone was going off. And so I think that this game 2, Spoelstra's going to go into the lab, see all the things they messed up on, and they're going to play much better. So unless the Celtics, like Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, those two especially, go off, I'm not sure if the Celtics are going to win this one. I'm really that type of person because they got a not once in a lifetime type of game from Marcus Smart, but they got an amazing game from Marcus Smart, and they still couldn't put the Heat away.
And that is extremely scary for the Celtics. All right, thanks, Omar. Enjoy the game. It is now time for the main attraction. Let's bring back Perk and Cassidy for this one. Hey, guys. So both of these teams are just...
Wait, Perk, look, we got these two Heat fans. I'm not saying I'm a Celtics fan, but you're a Celtics champion. You got to stand for a second because we just had I know it's called Heat Check, but is there a Celtics segment too?
Hey, man, Omar goes hard for the Heat.
But listen, Cassidy, look. My thing is that I've been riding the Heat wave, and look, the Celtics will always be in my heart. The Celtics will always be in my heart, but I have a job to do, and I cannot be biased. I think the Heat have look, they got these goons, and they want all the smoke. Go ahead, Christine. I'm sorry, Cass. I mean, you know, the Celtics know how I feel about them outside of basketball, but right now I'm rolling with them goons from Dade County.
Them goons. I should have said that to Omar earlier. Okay, so both of these teams have very young standout players. We see Jayson Tatum there, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart. They have a ton of playoff experience. On the other side, the Heat have a bunch of young and hungry guys with not as much playoff experience. But they do have guys like Jimmy Butler, Jay Crowder, Iguodala, who have a ton of playoff experience. So who do you think has the advantage in this, Perk? Is it the young guys who are just hungry, or is it the young guys on the other side that have a lot more experience and have been here before?
Well, it's the guys on the other side that have a lot more experience because they've been there before, but they haven't reached their goal. And they have an opportunity in front of them to actually reach their goal, and they know that they only get a chance like this once in a lifetime, and they're ready to capitalize on it. And by the way, the young guys on their team, like Tyler Hero, even Bam, if you want to consider him young, he's not that old. These guys act like they've been here before. And I just want to give a shout out to an unsung hero, a guy who doesn't get enough credit. My point guard over there, Goran Dragic, he's been tearing it up lately. I got the Miami Heat winning tonight, if that's what you ask.
Well, I guess that's our last question, but I guess you just answered that. Cass, for the Celtics, Kemba did not have a great game 1. And it could be possibly, like Perk said, they do have the advantage because they have more playoff experience. Kemba does not have as much playoff experience. So how much do the Celtics need him tonight?
Yeah, I mean, look, Kemba is saying he's played terrible the last 3 games, which includes, of course, the last 2 games against the Raptors. And I would just want to give him a little bit of a break. I mean, the Raptors were playing a box and 1 on him. And I think that got into his head a little bit. I mean, like Nick Nurse told me in that, thriller of a game 6, our game plan was first and foremost to limit Kemba. And maybe that was the reason. Maybe their approach is, okay, we'll let Jayson Tatum, not let him go off, but if we can at least hold down one of those two guys from both going off, maybe that's helpful. And I don't know if it's now carried into this series mentally for Kemba. But look, experience is experience. I still think he had a huge shot at the end of game one, so I still think he has confidence in himself. But, tonight's a big game for him to kind of find a rhythm.
Possibly getting in his groove. Perk, you said that you think the Heat are going to win tonight. You think that you're a Heat person. I won't say fan. You're going for the Heat in this series. But do you think this is a must-win game for the Celtics?
It is a must-win game. You don't want to go down 2-0. The Celtics have to be aggressive. I think, the one thing that I don't like that the Celtics do is when they start to hit three-pointers early in the game, they fall in love with the three ball. And you can see that it carried over into the fourth quarter late in the game. They just kept firing up threes. The Heat, on the other hand, they also love the three ball, but they also do a great job of mixing it up. And they dominated the Celtics in the paint 48-26. And if the Celtics want to have a chance to beat the Heat in this series, they're going to have to do a great job of at least getting to the basket. Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum are too athletic not to be attacking and getting to the rim, and they have to make a conscious effort to try to get to the free throw line and get more free throw attempts.
The Heat currently have only lost one game in their playoff run right now. They have a lot of energy. They are young and hungry, like we said. Cass, do you think they'll be able to carry on this same energy that they've had throughout the playoffs into the rest of this series?
Look, I think the Celtics will come out desperate, and they need to. I don't think it's a must-win game. I think if they lose this game, then, of course, the next game will be a must-win to not fall in an 0-3 hole. But I think, we haven't seen the Heat go up against a lot of adversity. I doubt that it's going to affect them too much if they lose this game. But at the same time, knowing Brad Stevens, this team is going to come out focused tonight.
Well, we'll see what happens tonight. Super excited. Really great series. That's all we've got for you.
Cassidy, who is your pick?
I mean, I gotta hold it down for the Celtics. I gotta hold it down for the Celtics.
Right
I can't have people on these streets calling hoop streams biased. We have to have some balance out here, is all I'm saying. Last time I checked that, the Miami Heat and Pat Riley aren't paying us, y'all.
Next time we'll include the Celtics in the Heat check. They could still be Heat checking. Heat check is technically a basketball term. Just happens to be on fire. Happens to be the name of the team. Who knows? All right.
We need a leprechaun or something on the way out. Some sort of balance here.
All right, we'll do that next time. Heat versus Celtics right now on ESPN and the ESPN app. Thanks, Cass. Thanks, Perk. Thanks, Omar. Hoop Streams is back on Saturday, getting you set for game 3 of this exact same series. Until then, enjoy game 2.